Hello traders, I think the markets have been building up to this week because it is the Fed rate decision and the markets are pricing in a rate rise from 1.5 to 1.75%. We have a press conference after the rate decision. That normally means there is a change, and obviously that could mean a rate rise. Highly, extremely unlikely to mean a rate drop. So you can see on this weekly Dow we are completely flat, very technical flat move, and so this is going to be absolutely crucial. If we can close above 25,500 this week, any day this week, obviously Wednesday is going to be the key one, then we could start to push back up to the highs. If we start to break 24,000, then we could come down to these lows. What do I think is going to happen? I don't know. I don't know at this stage. It's so, when you get a market that's that flat, it's very difficult to predict. What's the path of least resistance? I have to say the path of least resistance to me is probably down. But as you can tell, I'm to some extent guessing, and that's not any good to you or me. So I need to get more information out of this market, and of course we are just under 25,000. We're 24,950 at the close on Friday. So that leaves us hovering in neutral ground. So Monday's close could give us some sort of indication. You can see the problem we got in the daily chart. Hit this trend line, which I'll extend later, came down into this support from early March, and here we are closing just above the 50% of this big move. Let's look at the DAX to see if that's any clearer. DAX, I drew this area, this key area, this fib area, the central zone, which we have not closed inside. We butted up against on Thursday and Friday, but couldn't close above. Obviously the same problem. On the weekly on this, however, it's probably marginally better from the fact we've got sort of a pin buyers bar potentially here a couple of weeks back. Very flat week last week, very flat. Marginally higher, and that's it. Let's look at the Nasdaq. Weekly on the Nasdaq has actually put in what could be seen as a sell signal. So we held this zone down here, closed a couple of weeks back. We closed above the 2127 extension, and then were just marginally lower last week. So same story. We start closing under 69.80, and this is lower. Dip into 68.80 and hold and close above 7,000, then we're higher. Weekly, daily looks lower to me. Closed underneath that lower level there, and we are already just, so I think we're going to spend the first half of the week in that apex, that little apex, and whichever way we close outside the apex is going to be the move. Okay, currencies. Pound, high's been selling, and now we've closed above this area here. Now for the it's a busy week for the UK as well, because we've got jobs and a rate decision. Nobody's expecting a rate rise in the UK, so you would assume, I think it's reasonable to assume that if we're going to get a rate rise in the US and not one in the UK, then we could start to see that to sell. So there's a sell signal. Crept back into this area and closing just on the 950 mark, just in this area. So again, if we break the low of 900, I think this is lower. We're going to come and test this long trend line. Start closing above 140, and obviously we could go higher. Weekly, fragile, very fragile, but unclear. This couple of weeks of selling here, a couple of marginally higher closes. It's tough to call. Pound yen. Ooh, again, very marginal. If you look at the daily, we have this channel that I've drawn. What I've done is I've drawn this trend line across the top, which we've not met, got a lower high up here. Coming down to the lower part of the channel, so start breaking 700, and that's lower and could come all the way down to 140 area. So a very, very interesting week ahead. I've got a really weak Aussie dollar, so I'll be focusing on that as well. More on that on Traders Roundtable. There is gold. Let me just update this chart. That's the highs we sold from. That's the low. This is the trend line that we've broken away from. And this is the key area of support. Let's get rid of that trend line. That's the key area of support, 1300, big number. So 14 bucks above the big number. A rate rise would normally knock the gold off its highs. Normally, strong dollar. This is traded in dollars chiefly. So if the dollar's stronger, the gold normally traditionally drops lower. Bitcoin, for those of you interested, I'm getting more and more interested in this. Had this area, let me take this off. We'll come back into this area I identified. This is the buy signal down here. Oops, I'm not sure what's happened to that. This is the buy signal. So we're coming back into this buying area, but not showing, I'm showing weakness. I seem to be dribbling down to here and not doing much. So, of course, close above 80, and we could be going back to these highs to 10, 15,000. At the moment, I have to say, it looks as if we're likely to test 60 and possibly as low as 50. Oil. Oil is looking all right. This long-term trend line here is holding. Major resistance at 64. So none of these markets look convincing. A lot of these markets, this is fairly neutral as well. You can see from the weekly chart here that it's fairly neutral. So jury's out. Let's get some more data behind us. It's possible we end up with quite a choppy market until we get the Fed out of the way on Wednesday. All right, Traders Roundtable. We'll be talking obviously updating these charts, looking at the latest chart patterns, and talking again about the importance of the Sunday open and how the Sunday range can have a major impact on these charts. Thanks for listening, and I look forward to talking to you and discussing these charts with you on Monday Traders Roundtable, 7 PM GMT. Don't forget the US is still 4 hours ahead, not 5, for one more week, and then our clocks go forward next week. All right, bye for now. See you then.